Bing bong, bella piano. Right, lads, today I'm going to talk about scales. So, scales are made of intervals, that's why that word is on the screen. So, scales are very, very important. You've probably heard this about, learning any musical instrument. Oh, you need to learn all your scales, learn your scales. The, the reason it's so important is it teaches your fingers muscle memory. Your fingers know where to go. Hands become built to the piano keys is probably the best way to describe it. Scales teach your muscles. Now even if you're a complete beginner, you'll know scales. Scales are so built into our brains, and it's a cultural thing. Different cultures have music built a different way to modern Western music, and those cultures will hear things differently. But we are surrounded by music everywhere. Television, adverts, everything constantly has music, jingles, ding dong, bing bong. So we have our modern Western music ingrained into our brains so much that you probably just absent-mindedly had a song on in the background, and you suddenly notice you're not really listening, but then you notice a key change because it surprises you. This is how ingrained into our psyche these scales are, these classical modern scales, is that we actually notice when they're not followed, when a tune decides to do something else. We're like, whoa, that's weird, that sounds strange. So you already know scales, even if you think you don't, you do. You sit piano exams, you have so many scales to do, and they accept any fingering you like. You can do any, or you can do it with one finger. It's not going to work in the long run. It's really, you have to learn them the right way. The suggested fingering is there because pianists have spent millions of hours over hundreds of years figuring out the best way to play. So although you can deviate from standard fingering if it suits you, it's best not to. It is best to remember to sit up straight, keep your feet flat on the floor. The stuff I've said before about your hands, soft and curved, not flat. Your wrists straight, not all collapsed and bent. Remember all the things about posture. And it's coming next, but you can't remember what finger you're supposed to play the note with. Slowly learn the correct fingering, and it becomes a habit you don't have to think about. Now, obviously it's up to you, sitting at home. This is piano lessons designed for the new normal. Sit in your house, play the keyboard any way you like. But my advice is to do it properly, have good posture, have good hand positions, and use the correct standard fingering. Piano music uses finger numbers. So, doesn't matter, left hand, right hand are the same. Your thumbs are 1, and then 2, 3, 4, and pinky's 5. So if you can remember that, that's pretty simple. And you will see on piano music I will make for the Patreon site for you to print out, and piano music you buy in shops, download off the internet. You will see little tiny numbers written around the place, not on every single note, but places where there might be, what's best fingering to use. Quite often music will actually give you suggestions on the best fingering to use. So that's what those finger numbers are. So I'm going to go through what scales are, what musical modes are, the intervals, tones, semitones. I'm going to give you a whole overview of what scales are and what they're made of. And then towards the end of the lesson, I will show you exactly how to play the C major scale, 2 octaves both hands. What we musicians mean by intervals is the spaces between notes from one note to another, how much musical distance is between. So every key on the piano is a semitone higher than the one below. So this doesn't matter if we're talking about black keys or white keys, and it's hard to see the black keys lighting up here the way I've done this. But basically every key is equal. Black or white are equal on the piano. They are, so 2 semitones make a tone. So when you skip a key, black or white, then that makes a tone. 2 semitones make a tone. Okay, so every key is a semitone. So these 2 white keys here, you can see there is no black key between. They are beside each other, right next to each other. That is a semitone. So say this white key here to this black key, that is the next key. This white key is not the next key. The next one is this black key. Basically the black keys, technically they continue down, if you want to imagine, you know. They should kind of be full length logically, but they're half length obviously to make things easier. So every key, black and white, is completely equal, and they go up in semitone, 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 semitone. So 2 semitones make a tone. So from this black key to this black key is a tone, because we have 1 white key in the middle. This black key to this white key is a tone, because we've skipped out this key in the middle. So a semitone is 1 key to the next, a tone is 1 key to the next to the next. That's a tone. So 1 key to the next to the next, 1 key to the next to the next, 1 key to the next to the next. Da 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 da. So hopefully you understood that. Semitones and tones. And this is how what intervals are made up on the piano keyboard. So modes are scales. There's lots of different kinds of modes, but 7 is just sort of main modes in modern Western music. So C major scale, the scale I'm going to teach you in this lesson, is the Ionian Mode. All major scales are Ionian Mode. So you have the C major, D major, E major. So the sound, you'll recognise do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. This is your major scale. So you can start on any note on the keyboard, and if you do an Ionian mode with up from that note or down from it, whichever way you like, that makes a major scale. So I'm going to explain. This is the wheel of modes. So T for tone, S for semitone. So if we are going to play a scale in Ionian mode, it would go tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So if we write that down, T, T, S, T, 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 S, and we will start on the note. We'll start on the note C. So, if we start on the note C, the pattern from the Wheel of Modes tells us that the next note in the Ionian mode, after this randomly chosen C, the next note is a tone up from that. So, here's your C, there's a semitone up, this black key here, and here is a tone up, that's a D. So, tone from C to D, tone from D to E. Then we have a semitone to F. So you see how that follows. Start here, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So we can do this we can start on any note on the keyboard. So we're just taking that away now. And let's pick another random note to do a major scale Ionian mode with. So an F, and a tone up from an F is a G, and then a tone up is an A, then semitone is a B flat. So don't worry about what all this means. If you've watched my other videos, you'll know that I like to come in from afar, like I like, you know, to hover way above music so we can see the whole picture, and I show you like the basic outline of the whole picture, and then we zoom in to the beginner stuff. Okay, so basically this is your F, G, A, and then the next white key is B, but it's a B flat. Now you see how flat works, it's also an A sharp. So I'll maybe go into more of this another lesson, but I mean, it's this B here, a B sharp is a C. It's not very often you'll see it called a B sharp or a C flat, which is a B. Normally, it's only the black notes that would be named like that. So there's our Ionian mode major scale. Doesn't matter whether we start in C or start in F. It sounds, it follows the same pattern, just in a different tone. I think I have bunny rabbit issues. There's a lot of shenanigans behind the curtain. So here is our Wheel of Mode. So let's do an Aeolian mode. So if you start on T, you go T, S, T, T, S, T, T, T. T, S, T, T, S, T, T. So we've started on an E and we have to go up a tone. So it's not an F, it has to be a sharpened F, this black note here. And then a semitone, so the next key is a G. And then this is an A, and that's a B, that's a D, and an E. So that is our Aeolian mode. That is how that sounds. So you can hear the kind of sad minory tone in that. You've probably heard tunes that follow that mode. So we'll have a wee look at, we won't go through all of them, we'll just look at this one. Lydian Mode. You will know Lydian Mode because The Simpsons. That is literally what this scale sounds like. So it goes tone, 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 semitone, tone, tone, semitone. So we start on the C, we go a tone up to D, a tone up to E, a tone up to F sharp, and then a semitone to G. Think. And there we go. Tone, tone, semitone. So B, C. So this is a Lydian mode, and it's like that, but it's this note here which is different from your normal major scale. It goes The Simpsons. So you can go on YouTube and find sort of familiar tunes played in each of the modes, so you get to hear how different scales actually change what you're playing. So instead of starting on C, we can literally start on this here, the C sharp, a semitone up, and play the exact same thing. We just follow the tone, 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 semitone, tone, tone, semitone, and it gives us a Lydian scale starting on C sharp. The Wheel of Modes. If we have our note C here on the piano, and then this C sharp is above it, this would be your left thumb on the C and your right thumb on the C sharp, if you've seen this in music, and it's a horrible jarring sound. And that is a minor second. So intervals are divided up: minor second, major second, minor third, major third, perfect fourth, augmented fourth, also known as the devil's interval, perfect fifth, minor sixth, major sixth, minor seventh, and major seventh, and then octave. So seconds. Let's hear how horrible they sound. Yuck. So that is minor seconds. Now sometimes they work depending on what tune you're writing and how they're placed. You know, every interval plays its part. It's colours really. colouring music. So major seconds. This is a tone. This is where you play a key and then skip a key and play the next key, and you play those keys together. Not the nicest sound. That's a major second. So a minor third. Now that sounds a wee bit groovier. So major thirds. Now major and minor, when we're talking about intervals, doesn't refer to major and minor keys. It's just the way, the odd, illogical way musicians have measured things. Fourths. So this one is also known as a tritone, or the devil's interval. Now, I'm just going to stop this here to say red blob on the C, okay? So you can find your way back. Now, the way musicians count the intervals, if this was your starting note, this is minor second, major second, minor third, major third, perfect fourth, augmented fourth, perfect fifth, minor sixth, major sixth, minor seventh, major seventh, octave. Now, if it was up to me, I would call it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's what I'd call it. But anyway, I'll take that blob away. So we're almost there. You poor beginners just wading through treacle here. But I don't want to just sit you down and go, this is C major, this is what you do with your hand, you play it again and again. You have to understand the colours of music. So, octaves. This is basically the same note. If you watched my other extracurricular video about the wavelengths, frequencies of sound waves, you'll know that a note an octave above is twice the frequency of the note that's an octave below. So, I think we shall be moving on to, we've done that. So So don't forget, thumbs are one, left hand, right hand, same thing. Everyone is equal in piano. Left-handed people, right-handed people, everything's the same. Black and white keys, they're all equal, they're no different. Skinny keys, fat keys, they're the same. Everybody equal. So, right, this is the video we've done. Right, so just before I go into the C major scale, just to give you some more treacle to wade through, I'll just go back to these sound, well, not back to these sound waves, these are new ones. So any note, pick any note. We've got picked an F here. So a minor second, it's jaggy, right? So you see I have left in, now this is our, that makes this nice sound wave. Now this is hundredths of a second, but you see how, now if we also picked this note, you know, this smooth curve here is this F. Now this F sharp, a semitone above it, it would also make that same curve on its own. But what this jagginess is both of these played together. When you play these together, the waves, it's called interference, they interfere with each other and create this pattern. So this is what's happening when we play these two notes. Can be two white keys beside each other, E and F or B and C, but a minor second is any two keys beside one another. Not two black keys, because none of the black keys are actually beside one another. If you'll notice, there is always a white key in between, at least one white key, in some cases two. So any two keys beside each other, such as this A flat and an A, would make this sound. Sounds jaggy. So we're going to go a major second, a tone, two semitones. So now you'll see there's a lot of jagginess, but it is fitting. They're crossing at the same places. It's fitting in better, this major second. A minor third. So here is our original note, any note on its own and any note a minor third above. I've just illustrated it here on this keyboard. This is a random minor third. I mean, it could just as easily start on this A flat, and then we would go minor second, major second, minor third. So it would be A flat and B together. It would sound like that. Minor thirds. You see, it's a jaggy pattern. A major third. Now look at that, it pretty much fills the screen. You can, I will in a wee bit, I'm going to zoom in so you can get a better look at it, but you can hardly make out the wave. There is a wave pattern in here, but it is happening so many hundreds and hundreds of times a second. It is on this scale. Yeah, all these sound waves are on the same scale. So this is this. Now a fourth. This sounds quite nice, and you can have fourths in other places. Now, fourth and augmented fourth, the devil's interval, and it does make quite a nice, it's like pond ripple effect, a wave interference pattern. Physics is music, music is physics. Now this is a fifth, so they sound pretty good, and you can have them anywhere really. So there's your fifth, and you can see there's a lot less. These ones that fill the screen where there's so many up and downs you can't see, these are the more jarring intervals, jaggy, less harmonious. So a minor sixth. This is one of the ones I was talking about, it just fills the screen. Now this has got a bit more pattern to it. You can see the pond ripple effect going on, and it's fitting in with a single note, simple wave. There's something related here. There. But then as we go on, it starts to get a bit. Or sixth, major sixth, minor seventh, and major seventh. An octave. Finger numbers. You'll see how these are going to become very, very important. So, let's finally get on to do our C major scale. So, C major scale goes like this. It's very important that you press every key with the correct finger, sit properly. But I have some cheat sheets coming up. So here is how that scale looks in music. and on the keys. If you were to be playing it with both hands, this is how the music would go. Bravo, computer piano. He's very accurate. Rarely makes a mistake. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's maybe a bit easier on your ears. So this is the left hand, and I've put some handy finger numbers on the keys. So scales, yeah, study the music for the scales, but you don't need the music to practice scales. So everybody starts with the C major scale, because if you know where C is, which is the white key at the start of every black note where there's two black notes, that's a C, that's a C, that's a C. If you know where C is, you can't really go wrong with C major, because there is no black notes involved. You just work your way up to C, or in this case we do 2 octaves, the next C, and then back down. So the thing to really concentrate on is actually at first staring at the keys, making sure you get the right finger numbers until you can't get them wrong, and then start practicing without looking at the keys. And also just study how to read music and things. Scales come up in tunes all the time, and it's a good plan when you're learning a new piece is to play the scales from the keys that's in it. This is your C major for the left hand. Torturous. You've got to go through the torture if you want to go to Bella piano school. Now we're right hand. So you have to make sure you get those finger numbers right. here I've got both together with the numbers. So these are handy cheat sheets for learning your scales. It's a matter of memorisation, and of course once we learn the scales starting on C, we can learn scales starting on every other note, and not just Ionian Mode major scales, lots of other scales. So I hope today's lesson on the Ionian scale of C major with both your hands has been of some help to you. I think it's very important that, I done my Valkyrie thing because I thought it's good to get a tune in there. You know, learning a simple tune inspires people, but you do actually have to get bogged down and learn your... You have to, learn how they all fit together, and there's lots of different scales, lots of different ways you can play scales. Russian scales are a lot of fun. If you want to do piano exams, you will need to do scales. If you choose not to learn scales, I think you'll encounter problems. That's prove me wrong. I hope today's lesson has been some help to you. Let me know if you're stuck with anything, need anything clarified. Let me know if you want less physics, more physics. So anyway lads, that's a wrap I think. So like my videos and subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching Bella Piano.